All right, welcome back. Well, have you ever been with your child and they turn to you as a parent and ask a difficult question you don't know how to answer? Well, we are on your side with some advice and help. Michelle Essery, the owner of Fullwell Counseling and Neurofeedback Feedback in Hoover, joins us with some tips on how to answer your kids' difficult questions. Michelle, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Claire. I'm glad to join you.
All right, so I think you're a
Whoa,
parent, I'm a
sorry
parent.
about that.
That's okay.
A little bit of
We
thunder.
Oh my goodness. We've both been in that situation, I feel like, where our kids just come out of the blue with an unexpected question. What can we do as parents to sort of help answer that? And especially on terms where they can understand?
It's funny because I feel like this is a struggle in my own life, but I do have tips that, I sat down recently with the play therapist at our office and we did this kind of dialogue about answering tough questions. And a few things we came up with together are the ones I'm going to share with you today. The first
Okay.
is to listen. It's really important that we know what the actual question is. Right. So sometimes kids will come and ask a really kind of blaring question at us, something that catches us off guard. But if we ask a follow up question, we'll understand that what they're really asking is, am I safe at home at night? And that's a different question than like, hey, is there going to be a murderer who comes in? Like something like that. Or,
Right.
is daddy not coming home is a lot different than a question where they're really asking about their safety or they're asking about change or they're asking about something like that. So the very first step is to listen and try and understand what they're really asking. Check your own reactions because I know when my kids come and they ask me a question that catches me off guard, like, I don't know, about sexuality or about something that I'm not expecting from a 10-year-old. And I have to check my own reactions and think, okay, I need to take a step back and not react with what I'm experiencing, but really try and understand and listen to them. And then you can
Mhm.
answer immediately if you're able. It is fine to say, I don't know the answer. I want to come back to this later. But if you're able to answer it quickly, it's really nice and good. And it kind of reduces stress for kids and for us if we can answer when we're able to. And then be honest and age appropriate, right? It's really important that we answer honestly when we can because kids figure that out if we don't. And we want them to keep coming to us with questions. But you don't have to give them the whole answer. If your kid comes and asks you a hard question about something that you don't necessarily want to go into the full answer about,
Yeah.
you can just give them an age appropriate, simple answer that's honest. And then help them to understand, the goal of parenting, at least I think, is not necessarily to make them follow all the rules, is to help them make decisions and grow into adults. And so the
Mhm.
same is true here. When we're answering questions, it's not about stopping the behavior instantly. The goal of the question answering is how do I help them to discover how to make choices and explore these things and ask good questions. Understanding is way more important than rule following. It's a little messier, but it's better in the long
Yes.
run, right? And then let them know that you're available to answer other questions. I know I'm saying all of this, but there are challenges to this, right? Like even as a parent, I'm like, yeah, know to do all of these things, and it can still be challenging sometimes.
Well, and you mentioned at the beginning that the video that you did with your colleague, and
Yeah.
I thought when I was watching that video, some of the points that you brought up, and you were asking her, how do you know if it's age appropriate?
Right.
Is there anything that you can share with our viewers in terms about that right now?
There are wonderful resources out there on developmental stages and what kids really need to know about when. There are actually some really good government resources, but if you have a question, feel free to reach out to me at my site and I will direct you to all the right resources. You can email me at Michelle at fullwellneurofeedback.com, and I promise I'll send you some good resources. But it really is tricky sometimes to know, when my 2-year-old asks me, is upset that they're not getting their way, it's a lot different than when my 18-year-old is upset that they're not getting their way, right? Like those are going to be two
Mhm.
very different responses. Understanding is very different. The answers you're going to give them are very different. And it can be hard, unless you're a developmental specialist, to know what those different answers are.
And one other thing I wanted to point out before we wrap up, just in the video, you were also talking about you're trying to help the kids become functioning, contributing members of society. And I just felt that was so spot on. Is there anything you can elaborate on that in terms of when we give our kids answers, how you can sort of steer them into a good direction to make them be good adults? That's the ultimate goal, right?
Right. Well, all of us are coming from certain values, right? We're answering our kids' questions based on our values, but we can't just tell our kids to have values. We want to show them how to discern what is good or bad based on, you know, their own discernment. And in order for them to do that, they need to learn how. So when they ask a question, it's important that they have the ability to wrestle with it. Like, hey, this is hard. I don't fully understand this. Why do you believe it this way? And allow them to wrestle. Otherwise, eventually that black and white, like this is right, this is wrong, that'll be hard for them later when they have to start making those decisions. So growing functional adults starts early, but honestly, it takes as much work on the parents' part to figure out how to sit in that discomfort and have those conversations and be able to interact and help them learn how to ask questions to understand.
Oh, we just took
Yeah.
a power hit. So, oh my goodness. Okay. Well, Michelle, we're going to wrap up, but I appreciate it. And I did want to tell our viewers that they could go to your Instagram page,
Yes.
full on neurofeedback, and watch that full video. 'Cause it was about 30 minutes long, I think, maybe 40
30
minutes long.
minutes. Yeah.
It was pretty long and a lot of good information. So I did want to tell our viewers they could go there. And we appreciate you being with us.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Have a great day.